Chinese duo. Li Hiwen, reminiscent of a librarian, very studious and conservative in his shot selections. Fu Jianbo, completely the opposite, flamboyant, loved to go for his pots. And the story I always remember, back then, Matchroom used to get the players to fill out a form, you know, highest trophy you've won, best trophy, best accomplishment, age, where you're from, all that kind of stuff, to help the commentators out. And on the one that Fu Jianbo filled in, right at the bottom, it was hobbies. And he put smoking and gambling. So there you go. Maybe that's why he's aged.
Well, you only live once, right? So whatever kind of floats your boat. In the pool world, we know plenty of players that love to make a wager from time to time, but none more than all these players betting on themselves to win this Hanoi Open. And I tell you, Ko Ping-yi, it's been a bit since he's hoisted a huge trophy, and you wouldn't doubt it wouldn't surprise any of us if he did it this week.
And how timely that would be before he represents Asia in the Reyes Cup. Utterly professional. In fact, a model professional. He's the oldest of the two major co-brothers. Of course, Ko Ping-han is a third co-brother who is involved in this tournament, but it's Ko Ping-han and Ko Ping-chung who have lifted the silverware for that family so far.
Yeah, missing the one in the side, a little heavy on the contact of the one. Saw the cue ball kind of come a little above the rack. That's kind of the telltale sign on what kind of contact on the yellow one that was. So a nice opener here. A little funny position. You got to make a good decision, keeping it simple, but something to start as an underdog. Probably just floats to the middle, taking a little cut shot on the blue too. He tried to kill the cue ball. Got a little, unintended contact on the 8. He's going to have to show us a pretty nice one here, and how he tracks the cue ball around to get on a red 3 on the right side rail. Looks like he's going to come kind of top rail, side rail, past the side, then off the bottom cushion up between the 4 and the 7. Okay, he came above it. He's going to get a little contact on the 4. Therefore, a little thin on the red 3, and maybe a 4-9 combination in his future.
Of course, this is winners round 2. So Nguyen has one victory under his belt already. 9-5 over Robert Hart.
Well, the 1 could have been a little better, but the 2 and the 3 very well struck. Now a long distance combination. Cue ball a little ways away from the pink 4. The 4 a little ways away from the 9, but the 9 is close to the pocket. So you got to consider him a favorite.
In it goes. Agreeable start for Nguyen Quang Hiep. First blood drawn. Now we're at the stage of the day where we've got 2 rounds going on simultaneously. So I'll give you the first round matches that continue on. Bernie Regulario is being fully tested by Nguyen Van Zung. It is 7-7 over on table 16. Raymond Farion of the Philippines, 4-0 upon Nguyen Hao Lin. Nicholas Tan and John Carlo Miraflor, 2-2. AJ Manis now 7-4 up on Venus Lim. That's over on table 2. You can see all of the action over there on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. Shane Walford looking for a big performance, a big tournament to possibly muscle his way into Mosconi Cup contention. He's 7-4 up on Aaron Yip, Sergio Lagunas Moreno, and Nguyen Fan Long 4-4. I'll give you the rest of the first round matches currently in progress at the end of this rack.
Yeah, I don't think the results of this break-off were as good as they should be. The ball's kind of kissed around the rack. A little clutter on the side rail. Does have a look at the blue two and did get the one down. So some type of safety here to open rack number 2. Tell you what, pretty sweet stuff so far from the underdog, and really good cueing, good tempo on the stroke. Is he going to come into the 5-9 here? Hard to gain position otherwise. Oh, look at that. He drew it past the 6, and I'll tell you what, he's shown us a lot here in just a short time. Should be able to push the 9 a little bit here to stay away from awkward cueing on the green 6. Can definitely get at this. May have to add a little bit of side. And just, ooh, caught that a little thicker than he intended. Always was going to use the side rail a bit, but you know, a lot of the players, and we saw it in match number 1, maybe the rail's getting a little bouncy, and when the rails start to get a little more spring, the pocket becomes even smaller. Okay, rail first that should be made. Always how you hit the pocket on these rail first will tell you how much cue ball travel. It should move a bit, but maybe hard to command the speed getting on the green 6. And caught that a little thick, so he's going to have a tester.
Always a nice ball to knock in early on, if he can do so.
Yeah, a lot of times he likes to go back and forth here. He's going to play the easy side of things.
And this is the kind of rack that I think epitomises Ko Pin Yi. Nothing spectacular, just pure efficiency. And with that, he's back on level terms at 1-1. We were talking about a certain player, Fu Jianbo, aging a little since the last time I saw him. The aging process, very kind to Ko Pin Yi. In many respects, he's the Benjamin Button of 9-ball. Would you believe he's 35 years of age?
Yeah, it's amazing. He could pass for 21 pretty easily, and you know, it used to be the prime, I think, back in the day. They say for pro players especially, more like 20s, late 20s into about 40. I think that has changed overall, but I think the length of your prime can still be to 40 or even further, but I think a lot of these players, they really enter it a little earlier. Ko Pin Yi, though, one of the true charismatic players of our game.
Yeah, not like Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, always smiling, always emitting positive energy. And there was plenty positive about that one. The one in, okay, loss of cue ball, but at least he's got clear sight of the two.
Yeah, we'll see how the two ended up. If it's maybe cuttable on the side, I don't think it really, I can't say it's not shootable on the side, but I think maybe he just levels out here and rolls this in the corner. Trying to rely on that incredible cueing. And the key to this shot is just don't baby it too much. Well, it looks like maybe he's cutting it in the side. He's going to let the cue ball travel a bit. Yeah, he did take the corner a bit wide.
Yeah, not one of those players like Joshua Filler or Jason Shaw who pots from distance brilliantly time after time. Ko's much more about close control.
Yeah, and you know, I think he gets overlooked at times with some of those long pots, especially when the pressure's on. He seems to come with them more often than not. But I think that's the big difference in what his brother's done in the last few years. He's really gotten a lot better at the long ball. And that's, of course, some mechanics maybe, but a lot of times it's just plain confidence. Starting to knock him in, then you tend to believe a bit more. All right, we got a funny 8 and 9. The 7's a little off as well. Should be no problem with the 4, 5, and 6 here from what we've seen from Nguyen. I think he's got to make a pretty good decision. And forget who's shooting it, right? Phil, I mean, if you could just focus on how the ball struck and how the ball goes in, it shows you Nguyen's a pretty experienced player. And very on point with just how pretty much the top pros would play a lot of these shots. And that's a good sign, not only for his game overall, but maybe a bit more comfortable than we think.
Yes, he's clearly not one of the enthusiastic amateur entries who we've seen so far. He can bring game.
Okay, so didn't want to fall too short. I think that's the one he wanted to avoid. The kiss shot on the 9's pretty playable, but he's got to hold underneath this 8 ball. Doesn't want to get paper thin on the 8 trying to kiss into the 9. This is a little odd, especially if the rails are springing a little bit. Okay, he's going to stay away from the kiss shot, it appears. Maybe go back and forth, trying to produce something on the 8. Could fall underneath the 8, maybe 2 cushions. That's a long way to go for position, though.
Anything but missing the 7. That was the cardinal sin.
Yeah, and how often we see the ball overcut when speed's needed on the slick table. A little more lighting on the stream tables, and tendency is the ball cuts a little easier. Players have commented how tight these sides are, and you can see a very narrow hole to go into.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story about the lighting and how balls do get overcut at the end of this rack. A little story, actually, that I overheard maybe half an hour ago. Interesting, actually. Can't imagine this 9 ball is going to be overcut. There it goes, clean as a whistle. Ko Pin Yi recovers from 1-0 down to lead Nguyen Quang Hiep 2-1. Yeah, basically I've got a little desk away from the commentary position where I do my research in between matches that I'm not commentating on. And I was over there right next to a barrier which divides me from the practice tables, and there was 2 guys on the nearest practice table. Not sure who they were actually. Just talking about how conditions vary from here to being out there. And they were both making the point that you made, that when the lighting is so much brighter, it really does affect your alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the best way to correct that, or let's say play with that, is when you're on newer felt, you know, kind of your shot line or how you aim. Everyone has a certain way of getting attached in the cue ball to the object ball, but you just tend to have that shot line a hair thicker on the newer felt and with the lighting and whatnot. Getting your club tables with the older felt doesn't keep the spin quite as much. The shot line will get a hair thinner at times. And normally, you know, after you play on a little bit, you don't have to be so conscious, or at least the great players don't, it seems like. It's more of just something that kind of happens on its own.
So here, random ball made. The 1 isn't made, but it's sticking up invitingly.
Yeah, a little distance here, not as much angle as maybe at first appeared. Got to get into this a little bit to get back out to the center. Oh, he's missed that by some mark.
That's entirely like Ko Pin Yi. That was a really wayward shot.
Man, you really, you know, it was hard to really see all the cueing there. We're panned in on the bridge hand, of course, the attack on the cue ball. But he doesn't really have many mechanical problems. Maybe just got down on the ball bad, which is very rare as well. A nice touchy safety here from his opponent. Wow. So is he jumping the 7 to go to the cushion? It looks like the 9's too close to go directly at the 1. Well, the overhead tells us maybe there's more room there, but seems like he's going to jump and kick into the backside of this. Now, when you shoot this and you're getting over a ball quickly, sometimes you don't get a cushion here after contact if he is going rail first. Oh, wow. Seen it a few times where the guys have overhit the jump. The Rassen has the 2-inch slate. It does jump a bit easier.
Not the best. Not the best at all.
No, and you wonder if that badly missed ball in the last rack is maybe weighing on him a bit. That being the 7, trying to get that position on the 8. Got to make a nice little recovery shot after a ball in hand on the 1.
I think he held the cue ball as best he could there.
Yeah, natural angle, so position, and he can handle a lot on the 6 with the 7, 8, 9 here near and grouped on the bottom end. It's all about just making this ball. And he's overcut it. Oh, it did fall. Didn't think that one was going to fall, even at the light speed.
With the cue ball close to the side cushion, one more test needs to be passed. And there it goes. So it looks as though it's going to be parity here. Indeed it is. The first 4 racks are shared. The outsider win on level terms. You were mentioning Rasson there, Jeremy. It was at the Rasson Lushan 9-ball open that Copigny had his best success of 2024. He has cooled off a little. He won the World Masters last year with a very emphatic 13-5 win over Eklund Kachi in the final. That was in Brentwood in Essex. As for other notable achievements, what about the China 9-ball open in 2018? He's an all-Japan champion. His best year, of course, was 2015. He won the World Cup of Pool with Chang Yulong, giving Chinese Taipei glory there. And in that same year, he also won the World 9-Ball Championship, overcoming Shane Van Boning in the title match 13-9. Hardly surprising, given that he was named Billiards Digest Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's been good with the 1 on the side. He's going to get the 2 down as well, the 3 over the upper corner. A little bit of touchy business on this first shot, just speed control really, but we always love telling you about the Hill matches. Bernie Regulario and Nguyen Van Dung at 8-8. That's the opening round.
Now, I found something out today from our Vietnamese colleagues on the TV crew. Apparently, D-U-N-G is pronounced Zung.
Oh, with it like a Z.
Like a Z.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully, as a whole, I know you're always good. Michael's always awesome. Some of the names can get me at times, but had an American who is a Vietnamese. He's a translator, and came up, told me, give me a little quick course on these names, these Vietnamese names, to make sure they're as good as possible. I would never say I'm quick at anything, Phil, but have to be a quick study in that regard.
Well, of course, the one name that can really confuse is Nguyen, spelt Nguyen. I was telling this story yesterday in commentary with Carl. I'll tell it again. The reason I know it's Nguyen, and it is because of a former winner of the World Series of Poker, Scotty Nguyen.
Yeah. Baby, because you would always say baby, right? Yeah, I learned it a long time ago in tennis, actually, in high school. And with some friends that played on the tennis team. All right, another little awkward situation with the 7-9s. Not too bad. He's got a little bit of an angle here. Maybe hard to hold for the 7 in the opposite corner, so combo. Floated it, so he's going to take a little of a shot, and I like that, really. Now, does he kill this to stay behind the 8 for the same corner, the lower right, or does he draw this 1 rail across? Both are very doable. Yeah, a little thick.
And now might be second guessing himself in terms of whether he should have played for the 7-9 combo.
Yeah, I think he played the correct shot, but yeah, it's been the 7 ball for a couple of situations that have been costly. And they've been odd situations, but balls you expect him to make. And you see a lot of wins, of course. That's, I think at one time years ago, I was told it was like 50% of the population was win. I don't know if that's still the case.
I suppose if 2 of them played each other, it would be a win-win situation.
Yeah, there you go, Phil. Phil's getting in stroke, getting ready for the weekend.
Yeah, you did tee me up for that one, though, in fairness, Jeremy. It was great work by the straight man.
All right. No one really cuts him any better than Ko Ping-yi. And, you know, we didn't get to watch a very convincing win in the opening round, but I wouldn't say question mark so far, but not as best as a whole.
Yeah, he leads 3-2, and he's already lost more racks in this match than he did in his opening contest earlier today when he beat, guess who, Nguyen Su Lin by 9 racks to 1. Still got a few of these first round matches lingering on. Raymond Farion 8-0 up on Nguyen Hui Lin. Nicholas Tan of Singapore 4-2 down to John Carlo Miraflor. Albert Manis coming through 9-4 against Venus Lim. I think we're going to see something of him later on. Sergio Lagunas Moreno of Spain 6-4 upon Nguyen Tan Long. And a shout out also for Wang Ming, another name from the past from China, who beat Ha Min Tuan. Now, if you're pool devotees, you might remember Wang Ming. He was the gentleman who missed the 9-ball, the quite simple 9-ball, to give China B a place in the final of the World Cup. And he was so distraught afterwards. Austria were the beneficiaries. They tidied up and won that match. He was so distraught afterwards, the poor fellow stayed in the arena for what must have been 40 minutes. He was inconsolable. I'll never ever forget it. Anyway, I've not seen him since that miss until today.
Well, of course, I don't think you hang out in China all that much, but good to see him back out. A little disturbing, I think, for Ko Ping-yi, this break shot. It's been a very hit and miss. Hasn't pocketed the one yet, I don't believe, anyways. Difficult safety, not a whole lot of options here, and the push out even more difficult. I think he's got to kind of try to bank the one up the table, kind of killing the cue ball, using the 3 and the 7. Yeah, it just wasn't a whole lot there. And I don't know if I've ever seen a player, when he elevates the cue, hit the cue ball so gently, it seems like, as Ko Ping-yi. I mean, his brother's kind of right up there. It's similar, but it's just the lightest contact. He gets a lot out of the cue ball.
Bernie Regalario is relieved right now. He's just won 9-8 against Nguyen Van Zung. At the end of this rack, I'll get you right up to date with all of the winners' round 2 scores.
All right, he's got to go to the extension here. Held the 3-ball nicely again with that light stroke. Looks like he can pull this some 2-3 rails by the purple to drop down for the pink. rail kind of straight. Probably has to take the purple in the upper left. Could draw back maybe a bit short side for the upper right or maybe the right middle. Might go to the rail and back out. Like most of the great players, and I think he maybe shows it as much as any. Once he gets down on the ball, so similar, you know, the process. You know, usually a couple pre-strokes to the little ones, to the pause, and then just lets the cue go. All right, doesn't want to contact the 8 if he goes to the rail and by it because the 9's there. Sometimes you can contact the 8, push the ball a little bit, and then you have no pocket because you're looking at an odd 8-9 combination. So wants to go by this cleanly.
The needle was duly threaded.
Besides the break itself, seems like he's settling in.
Most certainly. And now for the first time, Ko Pin Yi has a 2-rack cushion. It's 4-2. So these winners' second round scores I promised you. Georgi Georgiev of Bulgaria improving all the time. He's 4-1 up on Abdullah Muntasir. Marvin Assis from the Philippines, keep an eye on him. 3-2 up on Kostas Koukiadakis. About to start, by the way, over on table 15. John Francisco against Oscar Dominguez. Dominguez having little time between matches because his opening contest today basically lasted for 3 hours. It was an absolute marathon. Mustafa Alner, who's had some major, notable scalps this year. He's 4-2 upon Nguyen Quang Hiep. Skylar Woodward, in his second match of the day, leads Liu Qianheng 3-2. And over on table 2, Zhu Ziyi, 1-0 up on Luong Doc Tien. The winner of that plays the winner of this.
Okay, happy to see the 1 get deposited in the middle, but no shot on the blue 2. Or it appears no shot, maybe something thin. It may get us to some type of safety, but nothing looks too good to me unless he can shave the 2 behind the 8 and go up table, but man, that's touchy.
One of the score I have to give you on table 11, Shane Van Boning going nicely against Dang Than Kien, leading 4-1. Have you heard of preferential treatment in the workplace? Well, it's just happened to me. Carl Boyes has come in and he's given Jeremy Jones a very comfortable chair. And I was looking around to see where mine was, and it doesn't exist.
Well, us young guys are a little beat up at the moment, Phil, excuse us.
It's the Analysts Union.
Well, I was as surprised as you were, don't worry. Figured Carl will be off getting a latte. All right, I got to agree with this passing of this push out here to the kick shot. I don't think there's really a whole lot you can depend on. I'm not really sure what he's going to try and play. Maybe a little fortunate to get the 2 away from some offensive shot. But that's how the push out is, right? I mean, if you push out to something very playable, you're not getting it back if you're Ko Pin Yi, so it's always going to be difficult. Looks like he's cueing on the right side of the 2. Didn't mind this. Trying to play a bit of a two-way shot. What I've always found with those two-ways, unless you have a very secure cue ball going behind another ball, but say it's open like this, Phil, put a little more onus on the make, you know, rather than resting the cue ball on the rail. And, you know, I think you make it a hair more often, and that's really why you're shooting the two-way shot, really, is to pocket that ball.
Yeah, because where the 2 came to rest, didn't do Nguyen any favours.
No, and I think we're all a bit guilty of that. You know, we lean towards the safer side of two-way shots, and sometimes it certainly makes sense. But when, again, you're not going to get a for sure snooker, I think maybe try to make the ball a bit more often, even if the cue ball gets a little more loose. All right, a little heavy with the speed, a friendly bump on the pink, or else he would have had a look at the red 3. Don't see any way to make this. Maybe try to hold the cue ball on the top end. Oh, he tried to cut it in. Nothing wrong with that. Doesn't appear a very playable pocket for the red 3. So some type of safety. Just looking at it at glance, a little awkward, really. You don't want to just knock the 3 down, you know, between the 7-9 and let them have a look at it, because then they'll pin you behind the pink 4. So I like this choice much better, even though he didn't hit his mark. Now maybe a cut shot on the 3 or cue ball behind the 6 as the 3 comes back down table.
As favourable kisses go, not too bad at all. This represents a chance.
Yeah, and the cut on the 3 stayed aggressive, and that had a bit of a two-way in mind as well, with all the traffic down here and possibly some type of snooker if you missed the 3. But good stuff to get the cue ball off the rail. It was pretty straight on the 4. Maybe could have used a hair more angle, but this should be okay. Should just be one cushion going towards the 7. Yeah, a bit short of his mark, but the cue ball seems to be drawing nicely. I think he can avoid the 8 coming across.
Remember, though, it was missing the 7 in the 5th rack that led to his loss of 2 racks, really. Mind you, that 7 was a little more troublesome than this one.
Yeah, and if you remember 2 games prior to that, game 3 he missed the 7 with a funny 8 and 9, which also gave up another game. So the brown has been a little tricky so far for Nguyen. He's kind of going forward a little into the 9, maybe. I missed the 9. This is going to get awkward. I think the cross side bank is playable. The cut down the rail's pretty thin. Looks like it's going to be the bank. Maybe a safety. Didn't expect the cross corner, Phil. What a shot. That's absolutely the hardest one-rail bank there is.
It was right into the heart of the pocket, and of course, it promoted perfect shape on the 9. How about that? Nguyen Quang Hiep is not going anywhere. 4-3 now. As we mentioned before, it's a little on the clammy side in here, and there's a story related to that with Imran Majid, who's out on table 20 right now, playing his second match of the day. He's won the first rack from Chu Hung Ming of Chinese Taipei. As I walked out of the arena earlier, there was Imran, eyes to the heavens, right in the doorway. And I'm thinking, must be meditating for his next match. And it turned out he wasn't. He was being very sensible. It was actually the point where the air conditioning was at its most powerful, and he was just there, drinking it in, the coolness. And he's a pretty cool customer. I think we're due a big run from him at one of these tournaments.
Yeah, he's as solid as they come, and he's made some runs into the final 16 at the UK Open, the inaugural, if I remember correctly. And I think at times the shot clock, was a bother. I think he's gotten much better in that regard. So, but yeah, I've soaked up some of that AC myself, Phil. Both those entryways are nice. All right, probably chops off the right side of the blue 2 here. Huge wall with the 8.57. Just come around the 6 a couple rails, come at the 4.9.
Yeah, just one final word on Imran. The World Cup of Pool wasn't on this year, but it will be on next year, and I think he's got a legitimate shot at making the UK team. Obviously, it will be Jason Shaw. And then Imran Majid's in the mix, Elliot Sanderson, Chris Melling, maybe even Gary Wilson. Well, that was nicely done.
Yeah, and this is, a big decision here. The kick is very difficult. The 2 is hanging super deep in that corner. So, I mean, not only hitting it, but letting the cue ball come out. I don't know. I may move the 4 here and just surrender ball in hand and see if he can get on a difficult purple 5 later. Yeah, that's the problem with that kick shot. From the angle you're coming in on a deep ball, the chances of you hitting rail first and contacting the 2 so the cue ball could escape was very slim, and I hate to give up an early win here on an easy combination, especially with the 5.78 a little funny.
Not going according to plan for Ko Pin Yi. We saw yesterday in the latter half of the day a major upset when Eklund Kachi was beaten by a local. Could this be a repeat?
Yeah, and he hasn't played poorly by any means. Eklund, didn't play his game by a stretch, you would say. I think he would say the same, but you hate to hit a kick shot really nicely with no reward, and that's just kind of how it's sat, and now we're all tied up.
Yeah, 4.9 was pretty much a gimme. And so Nguyen Quang Hiep doing nicely, thank you. 4-4 with the great man, Ko Pin Yi. It's one-way traffic on table 11. Shane Van Boning 6-1 up on Dang Than Kien. These are second round winners matches. Besos Sparhiu of Albania 5-1 over Do Huang Quan. Luong Doc Tien 2-1 over Zhu Zihe. That's over on table 2. You can see all of the action on table 2. Just a gentle reminder on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. Skylar Woodward now 4-2 upon Liu Chien Hung. Giang A Bao of Vietnam 3-0 on Tom Staveley of the UK. Mustafa Alner, candidate for most improved player of the year. He's 6-2 over Trung Quang Ngo. Marvin Assis 4-3 on Kostas Koukiadakis. Oscar Dominguez back in action quickly, 1-0 up on John Francisco. And Georgi Georgiev 5-2 now over Abdullah Muntasir. At the end of this rack, I will give you the very latest of the matches that linger on from the first round, actually. Well, while one of the players is out, why don't I do it now? Okay, so not many first round matches still going on. In fact, just over a handful. Nicholas Tan and John Carlo Miraflor, 4-4. Sergio Lagunas Morena, 7-6 up on Nguyen Tan Long. That's on table 26. Damien Massey of the UK, he's 8-7 down to V Ngok Hui. Chen Kuan Yu of Chinese Taipei, Hill with Nguyen Quang Hiep. Could be a minor upset on table 3, where Roland Garcia, the regarded Filipino player, full of experience, he's 8-7 down to Kuk Trong Tan of the host nation. And that's it in the winners round. Of course, right now as well, we've got some losers action. And Victor Zielinski is on the loser side, as you probably know. Could he possibly be 0-2 and out of the tournament for him? Well, he's got a slender 3-2 lead over Huang Nguyen Lin Giang.
Yeah.
So Zielinski's opponent has got 4 names and 2 racks.
Yeah, Zielinski losing 9-7 earlier, and just hasn't had the results that he's wanted here in 2024. But he's young and he's super talented, and sometimes that's just how this game rolls. And you got to keep rolling with it, really.
Yeah, he seems a bit hot-headed to me. There's no doubt about his talent level; it's off the charts. But I think sometimes he can be self-defeating.
Yeah, and he was really working on that, it seemed, and I think he's gotten better in that department. Just haven't really seen him much late in the events or like we were used to. And what an opener that was. Kind of a lighter stroke from the in rail with a hair spin, hit the center of the pocket, and really deserved this nice angle on the 3 after what a shot that was to open here in rack number 9 on a blue 2. Caught that a little thick, so this is going to be a little short of his mark, but short is definitely better than long. And this is not going to be given to Ko Ping Yi. I mean, he's going to have to take it. Pretty easy to go back and forth. All the focus on the pink. And again, that overcut on the stream table.
When a relative unknown plays one of the giants of the game and it gets to this stage, you're always looking for the mistake, the potential turning point, and maybe we've just seen it.
Yeah, and of course, my first eyes on Nguyen in this match, but didn't move on it. Tempo looked great, just like a lot of other strokes in this match he's had. I think it's just the experience of knowing you can handle a little heavier on those cuts and maybe even use the side rail just a touch. All right, he's going to kill the cue ball here. We'll see where the tip position's at. Should be somewhat low. Yeah, this is a shot you really should practice. A lot of people think quite the opposite until you know better, that you kind of let up to kill the cue ball. It's quite the opposite. Let the spin take over, really. 2 cushions to the center. Oh, he just played 1.
And so for the 3rd time, Ko Pin-Yi hits the front. Originally it was 2-1, then it was 3-2 and 4-2. Now it's 5-4. So Jeremy, now you're a neutral. What do you make of next week, Reyes Cup? Asia against Europe. Who would you regard as the favourites in the Philippines?
I think all things considered, I think I don't really see anyone as a favorite. I think it's pretty much a dead heat. Not sure, you know, we look at form and certain things, you know, a little alarming how we saw Eklund yesterday, but I think he'll pick it up. You know, and overall, you know, we've had some players, we could say the same maybe about Team Asia. Of course, Yap, who was the first one to qualify, really hasn't had a ton of results here of late. But I kind of like Team Asia maybe to get the W. Seems like when Efren's involved, no matter if he's going to be on the sidelines as a captain or not, seems to win at an unbelievable rate.
Yeah, I've thought of this a lot actually, and without wishing to jump onto your bandwagon, I can see the merits of both sides, but I would say if you force me to pick a winner, I would say Asia.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at form overall, which you could throw that out the window when the emotions get high in these team events, of course the short races, you know, your form for the year can certainly go one way or the other, whether you've been having a struggling year and you know, you can look at, just go down Team Europe. I mean, you got Mickey, of course, who's playing great. FSR just won a tournament. You know, David, he's been pretty solid. He's always solid. And then you got Shaw and Eklund, who, you know, Eklund's, you know, finished 2nd in the Worlds, but hasn't played a ton of pool since. So, and Jason hasn't quite had the results he's wanted on this year. Now, Jason Shaw seems to always shine come the fall season for some reason, but you know, I think when you look at Asia, there's a few of the sames you could look at. You know, Carlo Beato, I think his game has been off at times. I think Dwok is going to play really well. I really do. I think his aggressive nature is going to serve him well at that at that Reyes Cup, excuse me.
Well, that length of table bank on the 2, that would bring the house down in Manila next week.
You know, and then you got the new, of course, the new team format, somewhat new. They played some team pool before in Asia, but not going to be anything like the Reyes Cup. Well, we talked about it just a moment ago that Ko Pin-Yi is going to have to take it away from Nguyen, and that's what he's done here in rack number 10. Long rail bank, the nice long pot on the 3. And now what looks like a very playable 5-9 combo.
Hardly any hesitation from Ko Pin-Yi. In it goes, and for the 2nd time, he leads by 2 racks. But of course, this time it's deeper into the match at 6-4. On table 6, Georgiev with a healthy 6-2 lead over Abdullah Muntasir. Oscar Dominguez and John Francisco 1-1. Marvin Assis now doubling up on Kostas Koukiadakis at 6-3. These are all winners' second round matches. Mustafa Alner pegged back a little by Trung Quang Ngo. 6-4 there to the Turk. Jiang A. Bao 4-0 up on Tom Staveley. Skylar Woodward keeping Liu Qianheng at bay. Woodward 5-3 up there on table 12. And Shane Van Boning was 7-1 up, but Dang Fan Kien has just won rack 9.
All right, the 2's going to catch that side spin and bounce up. Much more of what we're used to. Look at the spread. We've had a lot of clusters around the rack. Maybe not the best hits on the 1. Much better here.
With Nguyen's rally from 4-2 down to 4-4 still fresh in the mind, Ko Pin-Yi will be bearing down here, desperately trying to get 3 in front for the first time.
Yeah, fell a little awkward here. He's kind of drawing on top of the 9, it appears. So a break and run in the last with an impressive bank on the 2 and a combination. Now a break and run to maybe extend that lead. Watching the speed on the cue ball, and that'll do.
Yes, he was a little worried as the spin took effect, but it's dropped nicely. And for the first time, Ko enjoys a 3-rack advantage at 7-4. 2 more needed to get into winners' qualification tomorrow. And it's amazing, as soon as that overcut 4 ball was left over the pocket in the 9th rack by Nguyen Quang Hiep, you just suspected things would turn around substantially in Ko Pin-Yi's favour, and that's exactly what's transpired.
Yeah, like I said, Ko Pin-Yi hadn't really played poorly. The break shot, his opponent played really well so far, but it's like a little alarm clock that goes off with these great players, and a little chink in the armor on that overcut 4, and he hasn't shot since.
Just a reminder on table 2 on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel, Zhu Zihe is taking on Luong Duc Tien in an all-Vietnamese clash, and it's Zhu who leads 3-2. The winner of that will play the winner of this, which more and more likely looks like being Ko Pin-Yi. Shane Van Boning, I told you, was 7-1 up on Dang Than Kien. Well, it's now 7-3. Besar Spahiu 5-2 up on Do Wang Quan. Imran Majid, we told you we were on the first rack against Chu Hung Ming. Well, it's now 3-1 in favour of the veteran campaigner from London. Lots of pool being played on the one-loss side as well. And just an update on Victor Zielinski. It's now 4-3 to his opponent, Huang Win Lin Giang. If Zielinski were to go 0-2 and be eliminated immediately, that would be a real shocker.
Yeah, and it almost leaned towards that mental game of his probably played a part, you would think, maybe. A bit frustrated with his first performance. Maybe a little bit of a hangover into that here on his second match. In between matches, Jeremy, I saw you chatting with Robert Hart. Well, Robert is 1-0 up on Win Su Lin. This is on the one-loss side, of course. Yeah, Robert. I love talking with Rob. Of course, he's always fun to be around, but man, he loves pool, and it is awfully dear to his heart. Yeah, it's been a little thick on the one quite often, and now's a chance for Nguyen to get back in this match. 7-4 it is, and he hasn't shot since that missed 4 in rack number 9. Ugly rack, though. You can see the thick hit didn't produce not only the one on the side, but the spread. The 4, 5, 6, 8 on the lower right part of the table. Pretty nasty. Yeah, I think the 7 kind of cut him off from adding a lot of spin onto that one ball to get more of a natural shot onto the 2. It does bank, though, so I expect him to keep attacking. Maybe play a safety and a couple shots on the pink. Maybe another bank. Oh, he went for the safety now. A little surprising.
And if that is what you opt to do, at least play the shot effectively. That wasn't effective.
Yeah, I think the way he shot it and just watching him in this match, maybe took the snooker for granted a bit, to be fair. I like him cutting the 2 here and running the cue ball up by the 7. Myself, looks like he can hold the 2 on the 5. And maybe that's not the shot. Yeah, I like him coming off his right side of the blue 2. Now, the problem with that is he could fluke a ball in on accident. But I still think he has a chance to get him up underneath the 7 for a devastating safety. Yeah, that's the shot I saw. I think just a lot more room for error, and like I said, it could become a very nasty hit here on the blue 2.
Basically, extra care, extra attention, extra trouble.
Yeah, and the red 3 has really got the natural kicking angle cut off a little bit. It looks like he can go past the side between the 3-9 and to the bottom cushion and up at the 2. Looks like he's going one rail naturally at it. Oh, great hit. Really good.
Wasn't it just? And it looks as though it's a pretty great outcome as well.
Yeah, we'll catch. It's already been a couple minutes in this game, but we're trying to curious how long the game lasts from here with what looks to be a safety in return from Ko Ping-yi and a very ugly table overall.
Someone was asking me the other day, what is the lengthiest rack we've had on the World 9-Ball Tour? A 28-minuter springs to mind. I can't remember who was involved, but I think we've definitely had a 28-minute rack.
Yeah, that's a long rack. All right, just missing a little of the touch on some of these safeties. That wasn't that hard to get up behind the 8. So we'll see what Ko Ping-yi has in mind. Probably off the left side of the 2. Bringing the cue ball 2 rails at the purple 5. It looks like he's amping up a little. No, he's cueing left. So he's going off the left side. Looks like he's going to get into the pink, and I'm not sure he's going to get the snooker he wanted.
The last few racks of Fedor Gorst's match in the winners round 2 took forever. One of the reasons the balls ran very awkwardly. That leads to a lot of tactical thinking time, especially when there's no shot clock. Of course there is here on the main table.
Yeah, I think Ko Ping-yi sizing up something offensive here. A couple shots away on the triple combination on the 4 into the 5-8. That's kind of hard. I think I would rather size up a bank on the pink 4 and then play a natural combination. I was going to say, is that enough speed? Now, does he come over and try and go into the pink with this nice natural angle here? I think so. Very hard to get snookered. Couldn't he really figure out a way for that to happen, but the triple combination must be better than I think. Because what happens is, that's different than object ball than cue ball. Cue ball, you can put spin on it when you want. Whereas if you try to play underneath this purple into the black 8, sometimes you get a bit of a kick from object ball to object ball where you don't from the cue ball to object ball. Wouldn't be surprised this hits the outer jaw, the one on the short rail.
Added complication, he's playing it left-handed. And one has to say, he didn't look all that convincing left-handed. The shot was definitely more of a jab than with his normal hand.
Yeah, well, I like his choice to put more speed on that. That kept that kick away that I was talking about, a little bit of a skid. All right, good touch here. But he knows he's just barely better than 50-50 to come away with a real good shot off of this safety. I mean, this type of kick shot should be hit at a super high rate, very rarely missed, and you kind of feel the bottom side of this sending the pink up table, maybe in the middle side pocket, trying to bring the cue ball to the bottom. Well, he got it thin, but that'll work. The pink didn't travel as far as I thought it would.
Here, it would appear as though Ko is one good pot away from the hill.
Yeah, this is in between. Not the type you want to elevate, but I think if he levels out, he may have to address a hair of inside English.
regardless of what happens now, Jeremy, this has not been a walk in the park.
No, not at all. A little quick on that delivery there from Copini. Oh, he doesn't want this to go in, does he? Never dreamed that ball would go. It was always the safety. And now very awkward on this safety in return. He's got to kind of chop on his left side of the purple and just float 2 rails behind the 9. If he tries to use the 6, he could give up a rail first or a pretty easy, maybe just a straight in shot. Didn't get the snooker. I think he did keep him off being able to make the purple 5. But
major thing there was trying to get the object ball as safe as possible.
I'll tell you, if he had a little more pocket for the 6 by the 7, we saw the pink go in, so the 6 definitely does play. I think he may go at this bank shot, really, but to the upper left, but now it looks like a safety. Trying to use the 9 as a big ball. Doesn't want to leave the right side of the purple with the 7 near, though. And I think that's what he's left. He doesn't really have to draw this. Maybe a center ball with a little speed. I hate to roll this lightly trying to hold the purple. I think I put more speed on this, trying to bang the 4 up and down, or the 5 up and down, rather. He's going to lose the cue ball.
Worst possible outcome and renewed hope for Nguyen Quang Hiep. The youngster resolutely remaining in the conversation.
Absolutely, and we'll see if he can get the break going. Started off the match breaking the balls pretty well, but it's kind of gone by the wayside a bit since.
Copini's lead reduced to 7-5, and that's the scoreline in the only remaining first round match out there. It's on table 8, where Giancarlo Miraflor of the Philippines leads Nicholas Tan of Singapore 7-5. All of the first round action for the Hanoi Open of 2024 is concluded. So what about the winners' second round? Well, Oscar Dominguez making light work of his second match today, unlike his first. He's 6-1 up on John Francisco. Marvin Assis 7-5 over Kostas Koukiadakis. Nguyen Quang Than 2-1 up against his fellow countryman, fellow Vietnamese player Dao Phuc An. Mustafa Alner on the hill against Trung Quang Ngo at 8-5. Jiang Bao 5-3 on Tom Staveley. And Skylar Woodward moving towards victory, although not yet quite there. 7-5 up on Liu Chian Hung. Nine ball was moving close to the pocket there.
Yeah, and I tell you, he's got a. Thought the blue two fell, but it's over the corner. Got the one down, a nice spread. I'll tell you, this he's a favorite to get out here from what I've seen. I know it's just a small dose we've seen here from Nguyen, and at least for me anyways, it's just a small dose, but I like what I've seen as a whole, and it's just got to maintain here. This is a very runnable rack. All right, doesn't want too much angle here. This could be a problem going towards the 6-9 with the cue ball and the 8's there, so he can't really draw off this angle. Now the good thing is a 7 hanging up in the corner of the brown 7 makes a combination from distance maybe very playable if he can somehow just get some kind of look at the pink.
And this is the kind of situation where the extension needs to be called when extra thought is required.
It was so much of a risk. He decided to play to safety and a nice one. But still, Ko Ping-Yi's got to love it, getting an opportunity here in rack number 13 that after the break shot he thought probably he doesn't get out of his chair. Very awkward kick here. Kind of going into the rail off a short distance. Sometimes the ball will bend a little more. I like hitting down on this a bit myself instead of the top English. Just kind of feel like I can judge the line and keep it more of a straight line. If you hit top coming in this rail, you got to really predict the bend of the cue ball. Not easy.
Wow, what a mistake that was. Way off target.
Okay, this has opened things up even better, really. Made up for a little congestion with the 6 moving the 8. Now you just play 3, 4, 5 there near. 6 does play, 7 over the corner. Should have a 1 rack set here in a minute at 7-6.
That was a very appropriate shot for Hanoi from Ko Ping-Yi, because the city, population 8.6 million, is located bordered by the red and black rivers. And rather than hit the red, Ko hit the black.
That's why Field does all the research. Give us those little nuggets. 8.6 million. I thought it may have been a little bigger, really. Even though that's huge, that's massive. But
well, they reckon that Hanoi is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. And we know the fastest growing sport in the fastest growing city. It's pool. They absolutely love it.
yeah, caught that 7 a little thick, and the cue ball kind of turned over on him. Wanted the 8 in the left middle. Doesn't have to do much, though. The 9 playable if he just stops the cue ball in the 8. Now he's going to take the cut in the left side. Looks good. $8.6 million. I feel like that's a greater population than New York City, really. But
well, here, Nguyen Quang Hiep fighting back again. Remember, he was 4-2 down, came back to 4-4. He was 7-4 down, now he's only 7-6 adrift. And Ko Pin-Yi has got a real battle on his hands, and that was the shot that really set things up. Really good hook.
Yeah, and that's the shot I'd like to talk about because, you know, he had a very makeable 3-ball. I mean, one he's never going to miss, but to be able to pull back on the reins a bit and play that nice safety, understanding there was a lot of risk with the cue ball. That's such a big moment as well. You know, most players would like to keep Ko Pin-Yi in the chair there, but very wise, maybe beyond his years with that safety on the 3.
If you're watching this on the west coast of the United States just after midnight, or on the east coast in the middle of the night, well, you'll be pleased to know that Shane Van Boening is through unscathed. 9-4 over Dang Van Kien. Van Boening's next opponent looks like being the Albanian World Cup player Besar Sparhiu, who's on the hill against Do Hwang Kian. 8-2 Besar leads.
Well, great spread again with the 1 down, and of course it is a combination. Without the ball hanging, you can't take him for granted, but I look at him as a pretty big favorite to make this combo. It's got to kind of, like, I wouldn't say ease it, but you just can't, you know, shoot it with too much speed. You want the 2 to hold, but I think he's got to attack here. Dead center, Phil. We're going to have a ball game here in a moment. Missed his mark there. I didn't think he wanted to draw on that side of the purple. He certainly wanted the corner, I think, for the red 3. Could have followed to the bottom rail and just kind of went directly at the 3. You could handle a lot of distance, but now he's going to go thin in the middle. Or at least he was looking at that.
No surprise he's electing to take his extension here. This is razor thin.
Yeah, and the cue ball is going to have a little speed. Maybe a bump on the pink.
Well, no harm done. 7-7, looming large.
Yeah, and just besides a couple, 2 or 3 breaks there in the middle, he's been the better breaker in the match as well, and the last 2 have been really good. In a slightly off angle here. I think he can draw it back, kind of hold the line on the cue ball. Understand here, you want to get a little angle, get from the 7 to the 8. A lot of jaw there. And now it's going to fall somewhat straight. I think he has a little angle to maybe force it to the right, maybe spin up the side cushion. Again, doesn't need anything but about the side pocket. Anything past it's a bonus.
This 9 ball is not going to be missed. And that means from 7-4 down against one of the world's finest players, Nguyen Quang Hiep is back on level terms, and Ko Pin-Yi feeling it. I don't think we saw this coming, Jeremy.
No, not at all. But I mean, after the first couple games of watching Nguyen, I mean, really moves to the ball nicely. Like I said earlier, if you just kind of ignored who was shooting it and the way the balls went in, you would maybe not consider it the top player all the time from shot to shot, but very similar to the top players' ways going about things. And now knotted at 7 with one of the pool's absolute best.
Yesterday, the big story was Lo Van Swan beating Eklund Kachi 9-7. Can Nguyen create the headlines today?
Caught the one a little thick, that's why he missed that. Unfortunate kiss, but the players know when you threaten that cue ball coming one rail towards the sides, there's all kinds of possibilities that don't have to work out your way. And Ko Pin-Yi feeling pretty good getting out of the chair.
Yeah, not just the scratch, but look at the table. It's a very pleasing spread for him. No clusters. Nothing too awkward. I'm not going to say it's connecting the dots. It's a little more complex than that, but it should be well within his capabilities.
Yeah, and if you just look at a 3-ball that could be tough, but with ball in hand, not very tough at all. So anything but the scratch there for Nguyen, but Ko Pin-Yi, he'll definitely take it. He's feeling some pressure right now, I think. So, but this is what separates him in class, is being able to get through it. Now, can he get past the 9 pretty easily here? Maybe the camera's fooling us a bit. Doesn't want to flirt with any contact there. Maybe getting over the 9 or a little thin on the pink. No, he's good.
I was going to use the word routine run out when I saw the balls present themselves, but when you think about it, at 7-7 in a race to 9, nothing's routine.
No, our sport is so delicate. Of course, the heart rate gets up there a little bit. And the one thing that the real top players, that they avoid is really between the ears. I mean, we can all miss a ball or have a little tremor here and there, but the decision making is the one that really keeps you secure and separates some of these players at times, especially in crunch time.
It appears that for the 4th time, yes indeed, Ko Pin-Yi is going to lead. And this time he's hoping he stays there. It was all about the scratch on the break from Nguyen. just flicked off that one ball, and it proved to be very costly indeed. Without rushing, just doing things in his normal efficient way, Copigny is back in front, and of course he breaks off in rack 16. Round 1 is over in the Mansion Sports Hanoi Open of 2024. Last match to finish, John Carlo Miraflor of the Philippines beat Nicholas Tan of Singapore 9-5. So now in terms of the winner's side, Oscar Dominguez 7-2 upon John Francisco. He's been all around the world chasing his Mosconi Cup dream, Oscar, and he's very close. Marvin Assis on the hill against Kostas Koukiadakis 8-6. Also on the hill, Copigny.
All right, didn't get the one down. He's going to get snookered on that yellow one by the green 6. He'll feel a little good about the 5-8 being tied up. That always gives you a bit more freedom at times with the push out, or maybe some safeties coming behind the push out. Now it looks like the 5 does play in the upper left. If you do get that first shot, maybe by the one once the one's disappeared.
And there, Jeremy, that illustrates the fickle nature of 9-ball. The 6 doesn't drop there. All of a sudden, Copigny is potentially in to win.
Yeah, it's amazing. Crunch time, you just don't seem to always get those shots at the table. He's going to roll out, push out rather. I think Nguyen's got to pass this. I think you're asking a whole lot to be able to predict everything going on either kick shot off the short rail or the left long rail. If you kick to the side rail trying to stick the cue ball, you got to put quite a bit of pace here to get the one around. Top cushion to me is the kick shot.
He certainly looks full of intent.
And sometimes, the more inexperienced players sometimes will be looking at a guy like Copigny and say, man, he knows something I don't. He's going to pull a fast one on me, per se. But I think the correct decision to pass.
Well, a slight change in the normal phrase. If in doubt, opt out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that could be on an offensive shot as well if you didn't like it. You may fluke this, may fluke it. Well, it's going to be a kick shot that did open up that 5-8. Now is it going to be a jump shot he knocks in to maybe get control of this rack?
Right now, for the next 30 seconds of his life, he would love to be fed or gorshed.
The good thing about this one, it's hard to hang it, so the cue ball should remain on this bottom end. If he misses, the 3 may have speed and get back up table. I think he makes it. And how very wrong I was. So now a chance, and maybe the first shot here on this red 3, about as tough as it gets here in this rack.
The squeeze is on for Copigny. He doesn't get to break again. If it goes hill-hill, that will fall to Nguyen.
And if you need to burn your extension here, do it. This is the shot of the rack here for Nguyen and to stay in the match. He's had a little trouble at times with the ball near the pocket, really commanding the cue ball line. Caught a couple little too thick, got a little hydraulic on the cue ball. This should be okay, but he's going to have to make another nice one, though.
This Vietnamese crowd watching in the arena and on local TV will be potting every ball with him.
Yeah, anytime you're playing a full one and moving the cue ball, how you hit the pocket. Oh, my. Just got a little snatchy with the backswing there. And that's disappointing. I know he's upset. I'm a little upset for him.
Well, when it comes to traffic lights, they say green for go. It's green for go.
Yeah, he just wants a little angle on the 7, and I tell you, the way a little tension here in this second round, can't take his eye off this one. Well, that was pure class and a perfect cue ball. So hopefully Nguyen can kind of leave this behind a little bit. He's playing great pool. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets into the final 64 from the one-loss side.
Well, I must say, I've really enjoyed this. We thought we were going to see potentially a huge upset. It's not quite worked out if this 9-ball goes in. And it does. Nguyen Quang Hiep will be thinking about that 6-ball for quite some time. In fact, it's one of those misses he will probably never forget. As it is, Ko Pin Yi is into winner's qualification, but he was made to sweat, literally and figuratively. Yeah, you see, Nguyen is trying to replay this ball, but it's too late now. You don't get second chances in this game. So Ko is through. Next up, we've got Lee Van Corteza against Landon Hollingsworth. That should be with you in around 5 minutes' time, but for now, from Hanoi, we'll just take a very short break.
From who? I didn't.